All right, guys. So we're going to be doing a little video here just to kind of go over what you're going to have for an assignment today. I just felt like the video that I'd given you wasn't as good as maybe what I could do here. So hopefully this will indeed help you out as you get ready to do your assignment. So this first part here is really like what you've been doing already, and you're going to think to yourself, why in the world am I going over all these definitions and why do I have to know it? Well, it's vitally important because knowing what kind of angles you're dealing with helps you to know what you need to do as far as the process. So let me try to help explain that just a little bit here. So for number 1 through 5, again, my instruction says identify each pair of angles as corresponding alternate interior, alternate exterior, or same side interior. So let's look at number 1. And what I want you to notice is, and this is the way I would usually do this in class, and just because of the situation we weren't able to do this, but the way I like to explain this is this: if this is my parallel lines, I like to look at this as if this is a car. So think about this as the front of the car, and this is kind of the back of the car. Okay. So anything inside of here is inside the car, or it's interior. Anything that's outside of the car is exterior. Okay. So if you notice, both my Y and my X is outside the car. So right away that tells me that I'm dealing with exterior angles. And the other thing that I can also see from this is that this Y is on one side of the transversal. It's on the left side of the transversal, whereas the X is on the right side of the transversal. So they are in alternate positions. So I'm outside the car, exterior, and I'm on alternate sides of the transversal. So this would be an alternate exterior angle. And I'm just going to abbreviate that, okay? But that's very important that you know that, and I'll kind of go over why that's important in just a second. So let's look at number 2. Number 2, you notice I've got one that's outside the car. I'll draw the car again just because it's fun. So one that's outside the car, one that's inside the car. So I can't say it's either interior or exterior. They are indeed on the same side of the transversal, but again, they're not interior. They're not same side interior because one's outside the car. So again, what I like to look at with this is if you use something to cover this up here, let me just use my phone real quick. So if you look here, Y in the top part of this is in the top right-hand corner. Well, if you look here below, you'll notice that if I were to look at it this way, in this particular little cross section, you notice that X is also in the top right-hand corner. So when you have that situation, that is called corresponding angles. We'll go ahead and write that right here. Corresponding. They are in corresponding positions, okay? And then one of the other ones that you would look at down here at number 5 is you notice that, again, I'm going to draw my little car. You notice both of them are inside the car, and they are on alternate sides of the transversal. This one's on the left side, this one's on the right side. So this would be alternate interior. Okay, and the reason that is important is because in all three of these situations, in alternate exterior, in corresponding, and in alternate interior angles, they are congruent. So what that means is when I start to try to figure out what the actual angles are, then I know that I need to set these equal to each other. So in other words, if I were to know that this angle right here is 70 degrees, because they're alternate exterior angles, then this also has to be 70 degrees. Okay, so you would set it equal to one another. And that'll make more sense when you get into some of these problems. Now, the other reason it's important is if I have angles that are same side interior, and I'll just put an example down here. So let's say I had X here and I had Y there. If they are same side interior on the same side of the transversal and inside the car, then they are supplementary, okay? So same side interior is supplementary. So I would need to, if I was trying to find these angles, I would need to take X plus Y, and I would need to set it equal to 180 degrees. So it's a totally different process than if it's one of these three angles and it's congruent. Here I have to add them up and set them equal to 180, which is a totally different thing. All right, so let's look at some live examples. So again, looking at number 6, and I'll go in a little bit on these. So number 6, you notice it says this angle right here is 126 degrees, and it's asking me what this one is. Well, what kind of angles are these? That's what I have to figure out. Are they corresponding? Are they alternate interior? Are they alternate exterior? Are they same side interior? Well, you notice this is outside the car. This is also outside the car. And they are in alternate sides. This is on the left side. This is on the right side. So I can conclusively say that these are alternate exterior angles. And so if they're alternate exterior angles, I know they have to be congruent. So if this one is 126 degrees, guess what? This one also has to be 126 degrees. Now, if you're confused a little bit and you think, okay, well, wait, maybe it should have been supplementary. Well, just think for just a second. Supplementary means it has to add up to 180. So 180 minus 26 would be 54. Does that look like a 54 degree angle? No, it's an obtuse angle. So again, you can even use a sheet of paper just to kind of stick it in there and see that this angle is pretty much the same as that one, okay? All right, so let's look at number 7, because now we have this situation. And now if you notice, if I were to draw my little car, I'd see that both of my angles are inside the car, so it's interior, I know that much. I also see that they are on the same side of the transversal, so they are same side interior just by looking at them, okay? Now again, what did we say about same side interior? Matter of fact, our notes right here, same side interior angles are supplementary. They equal up to 180 degrees. So in order to try to find this question mark right here, I've got to take 135 plus a question mark equals 180. Well, what plus 135 equals 180? And if I need to, I can replace that with a variable. I could say 135 plus x equals 180. And then that tells me I need to subtract 135 from 180. And if I subtract 135 from 180, I'm going to get 45 degrees. So the question mark is 45 degrees. All right, looks simple enough, right? Now let's throw some algebra at it. So now we will look at number 11, which is on your sheet. And now we're given something like this. So first question I have is, what kind of angles are these? Well, they're on the same side of the transversal, but one's outside the car and one's inside the car. So again, if I look, this is in the top right-hand corner. This is also in the top right-hand corner. So these are corresponding angles. And corresponding angles are congruent, which means that they have to be equal. So somehow, some way, this has to equal 60 degrees. So very simply, I just say 60 equals x plus 65. And to solve that, I'm going to subtract 65 from both sides, which is going to give me a -5. X equals -5. And you notice in my instructions, that's all I'm told to do is just solve for x. So that's your answer. X equals -5. Now, if you were to really think about this, can an angle equal a negative number? Well, no, but I'm not actually looking for an angle. I'm just looking for the value of x. So if we substitute this x equals -5 back in, -5 plus 60 equals 60. So it worked out right. Now let's look at number 13. So for number 13, again, I'm asking myself, what kind of angles do I have? Well, they're on the same side of the transversal, and they're inside the car. So let's think about what we just said. Inside the car, interior, same side of the transversal, same side. So this is same side interior. Okay, so same side interior. What does that mean? Well, if you look here, I've got really an acute angle, but this one is an obtuse angle. They are definitely not the same, so they are not congruent. Same side interior angles are supplementary. So that means they must add up to be 180 degrees. So that's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to do 16x plus 21x minus 5 equals 180 degrees. And now this is the problem I'm going to solve. Again, I'm going to collect like terms. So I'm going to end up with 37x minus 5 equals 180. And then I need to add 5 to both sides, which gives me 37x equals 185. And if I do my division there, if I divide by 37 on both sides, I'm going to find out that x equals 5. So there's my answer for number 13. Now let's look at number 16. This will be the last one we look at today. Number 16. Zoom back out just a little. Number 16, it says find the measure of the angle indicated in bold. Now on your work, I actually went ahead and highlighted the word bold as well as the ones that are bold because they were a little bit hard to see. So this is the actual angle that we're looking for. And you may think to yourself, well, what kind of process do I got to do with this? Well, it's exactly the same process. You still have to find out what x is, but once you're done, then you have to substitute x back into the problem. All right, so again, let's ask ourselves, what kind of problem am I dealing with? So here's my car. Both of these angles are inside the car, but they are not on the same side. They are on alternate sides. So these are alternate interior angles. And because they're alternate interior angles, if you notice, this one's obtuse as well as this one is obtuse. So alternate interior angles are congruent. So very simply, all I have to do is set these two equal to one another. So I have 15x minus 8 equals 14x plus 1. And from here, you can go a bunch of different ways. I like to stick with positive numbers if I can. So I'm going to go ahead and draw my line here. Subtract 14x from both sides. That's going to give me x minus 8 equals, this is going to cancel, positive 1. And so I need to add my 8 to both sides in order to get x equals 9. And you may be thinking to yourself, well, I'm done. Well, you have found the value for x, but again, what are they asking for? They're asking for the measure of the angle indicated in bold. So they're asking for this angle. So I'm going to take this 9 and I'm going to substitute it back in for this x right here. So I'm going to have 14 times 9 plus 1. And again, if you do that math, you're going to figure out that that equals 127 degrees. All right. Hopefully, again, this has been helpful to you. And let me know if you have any issues.